Good morning. Welcome to our webinar today. We're going to be speaking about clinical transition overview that we're providing with Worldwide Health Staff Solutions as we're looking at bringing international nurses to the United States and partnering with our clients. My name is Laura Messineo. I'm a registered nurse by background. I am the Chief Nursing Officer for Worldwide Health Staff. I joined Worldwide in April of 2024, and some of my key responsibilities are to improve the clinical transition of nurses to US-based practice, also to help support our recruiting team in sourcing the highest quality candidates so that we can bring them to you for interview and you can meet your clinical needs. And the last one is really to be able to stand up virtual health operations. We have an offshore facility in Manila that we are standing up virtual sitter and virtual nursing services to close the gap in staffing at US-based hospitals. I have had a long-standing career of about 32 years across many health systems. Most of my career was within the Chicagoland area with mergers and acquisitions, from Presence Health to Amita Health to Ascension, Illinois. And then I've worked for a payer with Highmark Health, and then also with a health system in North Carolina, Novant Health. A couple of things about Worldwide Health Staff, if you're not familiar with us, is that we've got over 26 years of experience in international direct hire recruitment experience. What does that really mean? It really means that we are finding nursing candidates that have extensive clinical experience. We're bringing them to you to interview to determine if they're a good fit for your organization. And then when they actually come to the United States, they are your full employee. You pay them at fair market value. Annually, there are over 4,000 international nurses that are hired. And at any given time, we have over 8,000 ongoing placements. We've got global recruiting efforts across the entire world. And we can specialize in really any clinical area, such as acute care, long-term care, any sort of clinical specialties, some of those hard to fill positions like the OR, cath lab, OB. We've got a full pool of candidates that have extensive experience. And really, Worldwide Health Staff offers a turnkey solution. So we have an entire process of onboarding our clients. So we meet with our clients and understand their clinical needs and what sort of requirements they have for the nurses that we're bringing to them as a candidate to interview. We have an extensive recruitment team that uses a host of tools to source the right candidates. We've got an amazing legal team that takes our candidates through the immigration journey. And then we have a relocation team that really does a white glove approach in order to schedule a flight, book their hotel, their 30-day housing, making sure that they get to the United States, get to the location where you're at. And then from a clinical perspective, we're here to support that transition from international practice to US practice. And we've got some educational tools that we work with the candidates on prior to them coming to the United States. And then we're really your partner for while you're orienting your nurse to US-based practice. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about our candidates. First of all, 100% of our candidates have already passed the NCLEX exam prior to interviewing with you. Also, our candidates, when they're interviewing with you, have anywhere from 2 to 6 years in the clinical area of hiring. So as an example, the nurse may have 2 to 6 years of ICU experience, but they might have 6 to 10 years of total nursing experience within the healthcare setting. They are BSN graduates. They pass an English language exam. 73% of our candidates are born in the Philippines. And the top 3 countries that our candidates are living in are the Philippines, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Many of our Filipino nurses start out their careers in the Philippines and then they move to Canada or the United Kingdom to actually work for a period of time while they're waiting for their immigration journey. Next slide. So from a clinical perspective, we have many tools that we customize with each one of our clients. So I'm going to talk through a couple of those things. We have the Lippincott blended learning modules that we offer to each one of our clients. I partner with the clinical leadership at each one of our client sites to be able to customize the 10 modules that they would like each one of their international nurses to take prior to coming to the United States. So I'm going to, an example of that is we work to identify 10 modules for the med-surg nurses, 10 modules for the ICU nurses, or 10 modules for the ED nurses. And that can be anything from medication management. It can be workplace violence. It can be things as specific as hypertension, sepsis, diabetes. It just depends on the hospital system and which things they'd like to blend with their actual orientation program when the nurses come here, so that we can give them some education prior to them arriving in the United States, but that it'll really flow very nicely into the orientation program that the individual hospital system has. In addition to that, we use a tool called an UNA skills assessment. That assessment is a self-assessment, and we use it in two different ways. We use it when we post a position for one of our clients, for candidates to apply for a position. We actually assign them an UNA skills assessment for that clinical area. So the example is, nurse applies for a med-surg position at X hospital. We then assign them an UNA skills assessment, and they have to have a score of a minimum score in order to be considered to be scheduled for an interview with any one of our clients. Why this is important is this is an additional tool that our recruiters have at their fingertips. So they're going to look at the resume, but then they're going to use an objective way to actually rank the candidates and then select the highest quality candidates to then be placed forward for you to actually interview them. When you're interviewing them, you would ask them the same clinical questions, the same behavioral questions that you would ask any US-based nurse. You want to get a good idea of their clinical competency. You also want to get a very good view of their English language to make sure that you can clearly understand them. That translates into when they come to the United States and they're caring for patients and families and other clinicians and physicians will all be able to understand them clearly. Some other things that we focus on from a worldwide health staff, that's all part, and it's included in our pricing models, is that we have relocation and onboarding best practices. Some of those things consist of, we have a nursing toolkit that we're getting ready to launch to our international nurses that are really educating them on US-based healthcare, such as the 5 C's of medication management, HIPAA compliance, workplace violence, national patient safety goals, common abbreviations that we use in the United States. In addition to that, we also are putting together a toolkit for our clients for onboarding best practices, such as creating an international nurse residency program, so that when you're bringing in your international nurses, we know that these nurses have amazing clinical experience, great assessment skills. Some of the things that we know is that sometimes the technology is different that we have in the United States, such as our electronic medical records or our IV pumps or our bedside monitors. And some of those things are great things to reinforce. Additional things are some standard HR practices, such as taxes, both state and federal taxes, enrolling for their insurance benefits, whether it be healthcare or it might be their 401k. So some of those things should be hardwired into their orientation program. And then the other thing that we've created is nursing in other countries. So we know from a worldwide health staff perspective that we recruit from 17 countries primarily. And we have created an overview on healthcare within each one of those 17 countries. We have focused on what the nurses' responsibilities are within those countries, what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, and then what are the best practices for onboarding a nurse from that particular country. And that's something that we're providing to our clients as they have recruited nurses, and then helping them to better prepare for onboarding those nurses when they come. We also are helping to support frontline managers and also leaders with information about the international nurses, reinforcing the fact that these are direct hire, meaning that on day one, when they come to the United States, they are your employee, and in some of your retention strategies that you do for your domestic nurses should also be brought to your international nurses. Some other things that we recommend is creating a community of the international nurses there at your local facility. We know many times there are other international nurses that are already employed at your organization, and it's great to connect those nurses together so that they can learn about local areas to go shopping and where their restaurants are that would be their desired food. Next slide, please. So some other resources that we have for the transition. I already talked a little bit about the country overview, which is really great for you to get a greater insights into what that nurse is used to in their country, where they're coming from. But some other things that we have for you is, let's say that the nurse comes over. We know that all of the nurses have to pass in order to obtain their state licensure. Also, for immigration purposes, they have to pass an English language exam. So we know that they have a basic understanding of speaking, writing, comprehension related to English language. But when they actually come over to the United States, and they're employed by your organization, if you identify that there's any opportunities that they need additional coaching, we have a team of English success coaches that can do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, in order to help that nurse improve their English language proficiency. And then lastly, we provide ongoing support. So if there are challenges with a nurse from a clinical perspective, we can work with you with some clinical remediation strategies. We also are there for the actual nurse if they have any challenges, both from a personal or a professional perspective. We have a team that we meet with the nurse, and we can coach, support, provide some additional resources for that nurse so that they can feel supported. Next slide. One thing before we get to the Q&A that I'd just like to mention is that we have a very deep relationship with the Philippine Nurses Association, and we're working with many of the chapters in each one of the states in order to support nurses that have come to that state. One thing I'd like to highlight is that we really do a brother and sister program with the Philippine Nurses Association. And we're also giving our nurses 1 year of membership into the Philippine Nurses Association in order to help them feel like they're part of a community. So now we'll turn it over to any questions you might have.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. So our first question, what strategies do you use to ensure high retention rates among international nurses once they are onboarded?
So I think there's a couple of things. We should really be looking at these nurses just like we do domestic-based nurses. Number one, giving them a robust orientation process, having them know that they have a resource there locally, such as a manager to go to for questions, comments, concerns. Most nurses want to see that they can have professional growth. And what is your individual clinical ladder at your organization, or what are the ways that they can grow professionally, whether it's tuition reimbursement, whether it be getting additional certifications, attending conferences. these are all ways to really be able to retain those nurses. I think another aspect of it is if we go back to when you actually interview a nurse, clearly stating what kind of the expectations are and what some of your standard processes are, such as what type of scheduling do you do? How many weekends are they going to need to work? What shift are they going to be working? Are they doing 8-hour shifts? Are they doing 12-hour shifts? So that you're giving realistic expectations for when they come, and that's going to make them very happy when they're here. I think another part is just that community, and when a nurse comes, it's great if someone from the health system can actually meet them at the airport, maybe take them to the grocery store for the first time, make sure they get to their hotel safely. Having community meetups where maybe you have even just like a lunch and learn. Those are all ways to kind of embrace that new nurse and help them assimilate into the culture within the United States.
Perfect, thank you. And can you share examples of how you've successfully matched international nurses to highly specialized roles within the US healthcare system?
So this takes us back to when we first onboard one of our clients, and we have a clinical discovery that we work with you on. So as an example, if you're hiring a med surg nurse, we ask you, what is the minimum requirements you want? What certifications do you require? What sort of clinical experience are you looking for? And then what we do is we take that information and we bring that back to our recruiting team. And as they're looking at candidates, they're looking at the skills that these candidates are strong in order to successfully match them. And then in addition, we give them the UNA skills assessment to validate that they truly do have the skill set that you're looking for.
Okay. And then next question, how does your comprehensive orientation to US culture and healthcare systems benefit both nurses and hiring organizations?
So I think it's a combination of things. We know that these nurses are coming over with great experience, and our goal is to equip them with all of the standards in the United States before they come over. We do that through a variety of different ways. One being the Lippincott blended learning modules that we're giving them. In addition to that, we're putting together the International Nurse Toolkit so that we can give them some of the standards, and we know such as team-based care, nurse-driven protocols, so that they're aware of that before they come here. And how we're supporting our clients is in a variety of different ways. We meet with our clients monthly, and sometimes more than monthly, depending on when the nurses are coming over. We do presentations to managers, to senior leaders, to share the information of years of experience these nurses have, reinforcing that these are direct hire and that they're your employee and should be treated as such. In addition to that, we do have the country overviews that we provide to you to help you understand where that nurse is coming from and what some of the standards are there so that you can better support them with their assimilation. And then we're really your partner for the life of the nurses being there. Part of a long-term staffing strategy has many different arms, and we're just one arm of that staffing strategy to close the gap in nurses that are retiring and turnover rates. And so as you see opportunities to better support your needs, we're your partner to really think outside the box and create innovative models.
Okay, thank you. Next question I have, how adaptable are your recruitment and onboarding processes to meet the unique needs of our healthcare organization?
We are truly your partner. And so as we have tools that we utilize, we are open to suggestions, feedback, comments, and customizing to meet all of your needs. We want to make sure that the nurses that we are bringing to you are the highest quality of nurses, have the background and experience. And then if you see gaps in the process, we absolutely are here to listen and then openly change processes, enhance processes so that it meets your needs.
Okay. And last question, if we plan to scale our hiring needs, how can your organization manage larger volumes of recruitment while maintaining quality?
So I'm proud to say that we have an amazing recruiting team that has a variety of different models that we use in order to meet each health system's needs. So I'll give you some examples. If you're doing a large hiring event, as an example, you want to hire 400 nurses, we can come on site and we can do a hiring event, and within 5 days, we can have the 400 nurses interviewed. You can decide which ones you'd like to place offers to, and then have those nurses accept those offers. And then we can do smaller scale. If you, hypothetically, if you don't want to do a 4 or 5 day hiring event for a large number, let's say you want 100 nurses and you want to do it over 2 weeks, we can be very flexible and we can do them virtual, and set them up for a couple of hours a day with your hiring managers. So we offer many different ways for the hiring events, but we have a very strong pool of candidates that we are looking to place, and we do not have a lack of candidates to present you that are high quality.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Those were all of our questions. Any final thoughts that you want to share?
I'd just like to share with everyone that we look forward to helping support you with your long-term nursing strategic strategies. In addition to that, we also have MLTs, and we're also standing up virtual health operations. So if you have any challenges with staffing any of your departments, we're here as your long-term international direct hire staffing company.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and everyone online who's joining us. Be sure to stay connected with us on LinkedIn for any updates and future webinars that we have. But I hope everyone has a great day.